Welcome to another Sandia Mountain Natural History Center quick trip. Today we're at Fenton Lake State Park and it's totally frozen over. We're investigating what goes on here in the winter. You might be wondering, how do the fish survive when the lake is so frozen over? Well, different fish have different strategies. So if they're in a river or something like that, they can actually migrate to warmer waters for the winter. They can also, if they're not going to be active in the winter, go into a state of torpor, which is kind of like hibernation, except they can wake up again if they actually sense a threat or if some nice food comes by. And then there's the trout and the fish that people are catching in this lake today that actually stay awake and alert in the winter, and they just have to go down to the right level where the water is warm enough for them. Some species of fish can actually warm their bodies, even though they are cold-blooded animals. Certain species have special abilities to do that. And then the snow itself actually and the ice provide an insulating layer and then keep that warmth down below also. So all those things work together to keep the fish alive.
So you can actually see ice is pretty thick, but it does move when you jump on it. Hopefully I'm not about to jump right through.
Right there at the end.
All right, so it appears to be the Old English measurement of 1 hand and 1 Toby forearm thick of ice. It's about 34 degrees out and we have a blazing sun. So I'm actually just here in a t-shirt and this fleece and I'm actually pretty warm. So you might be wondering, why doesn't the ice melt? Well, the reason for that is A, it's cold at night, but B, this snow is actually providing a blanket of insulation. And then secondly, the white snow is reflecting a lot of heat. It's something called the albedo effect, and all that heat is being reflected off, so it's able to keep the ice underneath the snow frozen. So you can tell that the hillside is fairly barren. That's because of a fire that happened here a few years ago. Most of the trees have died, slowly coming back. But luckily Fenton Lake here was spared. So all these ponderosa pine brooms on the ground are chewed off from Abert squirrels. And what the squirrels are doing is getting the new growth that has the most nutrients and energy in it. And then they chew them off and let them fall on the ground. I guess so it's easier for them to get them. So we have a couple examples of elk scat. Here we have a patient elk who is willing to stand still while he poops. And then over here we have an elk that decided that he would poop while he walks. I'm not really sure why he would do that. Maybe he was falling behind the group. Who knows?
Wait for me, guys, wait for me.
So it looks like we have a trail of coyote tracks running right down the trail here. Coyotes are not migrators or hibernators. They're adapters, so they'll be around all winter.
We're at the river that's flowing out of the lake now, so we have open running water for animals to come to, shown by the tracks along in the snow. And we also have this great evidence of beavers. We have a beaver dam. It looks like it got a little broken here, but you can see it's holding that water upstream. And beavers actually change their environment more than any other species except for humans. So they try to slow down that water to have more habitat for themselves, which also provides more habitat for spawning fish in the spring, and amphibians, and water birds, and all kinds of other creatures too.
So these spots on the tree where all the bark has been rubbed off, these are deer or elk rubs. And what they're doing is they're scraping the velvet off of their antlers, because that velvet gets real itchy, because it's actually living tissue. It has blood vessels and stuff in it.